Welcome back to Today in Tech. Today we are going to talk about the metaverse. Is the hype over the last few years finally over, or is it just beginning? Hi everyone, I'm Keith Shaw. When you hear someone talk about the metaverse, all sorts of different things pop up. You hear about gaming, virtual reality, augmented reality, or is it something more? Is it factory, simulations, digital twins, all that kind of stuff? I'm Keith Shaw. Behind the camera is Chris. He's the guy pushing the buttons.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we're going to talk about this today.
Yes, we are. And also great attire. Very Bill Belichick. So
I think we came up with the word. It's Belichickian.
very, very Belichickian.
All right. I could spend all day talking about my wardrobe, but I will pass because you made fun of me for my corporate attire, which was the regular collared shirts. And so I think this one, just because it's blue, it makes you think of the Patriots. So I will try to avoid blue in the future. All right. Let's talk about the metaverse. And the first problem I see is that nobody really knows what it is. It's a term, and a lot like artificial intelligence and some other IT terms or technology terms that get overused and overhyped and everyone thinks they know what it is. And you've got a perfect example of that with the metaverse. Some people think it's virtual reality, video games, plug into the Matrix. There's a billion different sci-fi books out there. Ready Player One, which was a book and a movie. It was all about, going to different games across, and they were all connected. And it's, some people think Second Life. Some people think it's something else. The metaverse, Facebook changes its name to Meta because they buy Oculus, which was the virtual reality headset. So you've got virtual reality, augmented reality, but in terms of how businesses are using it, you start seeing things like digital twins and factory simulations, and there's some real good business use cases for that. But we're going to start sort of on the consumer side because this week there was some big news about Apple and its rumored development of AR VR glasses. All of these things are like little leaks that come out about, in January 2023, they're going to launch it. This week, there was a new CNET report that said the apparently augmented reality and virtual reality headset that they're working on may be pushed back to the second half of 2023 due to some unspecified software-related issues, not hardware, which was interesting, that they're having some difficulties with the software, not the hardware. Also, Computer World's Johnny Evans wrote a blog post about the fact that Apple has recently now changed its name of the operating system that will be used to operate sort of its VR AR world. They're not going to use iOS, which is what you see on the phones. Instead, it used to be called Reality OS, and now they're calling it XROS to sort of indicate an extended reality. So there's all this stuff going on. I could talk. I want to sort of ask Chris about, did you know about this kind of headset that they were working on? Whenever Apple develops something, then sort of the industry follows, and then they're not always the first one to market. I mean, Google Glasses was 10 plus years ago, it feels like. Meta / Oculus / Facebook, they sort of jump-started the whole virtual reality thing. I still have my PlayStation VR headset from, 3 or 4 years ago that I probably haven't used since then. They have a new version coming out for it's called VR2, which I think will work on the PS4 and PS5. So virtual reality is still out there from a concept, but I think what Apple wants to do is make it more mainstream than just games. So they might be focusing more on the AR reality. Microsoft has been out there with HoloLens for a long time too, and they're seeing business use of it. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, well, first off, I am definitely not an Apple user. I leave that for Ken Mingus. He is the Apple aficionado here at Tech Talk. But I had no idea. Apple was still in the works of creating an AR/VR headset, because honestly, I thought AR/VR is kind of like dying out, because I see it more as like a consumer product for video games, essentially.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. Other than that, I kind of see it as like a novelty almost. But I was just going to bring up this point, but let's see where this goes, because I definitely see other institutions kind of capitalizing on AR and VR, and we'll probably get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea. I'm looking at the article here. This was the CNET article.
CNET one, yeah.
Yeah, Apple's rumored AR VR headset may be delayed. Yeah, I mean,
the rumors are that this is going to be $3,000, which would
$3,000.
Yeah, I mean, that would limit the potential audience to Ken Mingus and then everybody else in the business world, and that's just kind of a joke about Ken.
Yeah. So here on CNET,
we'll buy anything if it has an Apple logo on it.
Yeah. I mean, so CNET was saying 2,000. I think our article on Computer World, I think.
Oh, he said maybe 3,000. Okay.
Yeah, I think Johnny Evans. Yeah, he said 3,000. I'm trying to find it here. Let me go.
Okay. Well, 2,000 is then a high end Mac.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's probably in Ken's price range, but then a few other people as well.
Yeah, here we go. 3,000. Costs are currently anticipated at around 3,000. So let's just say 2,000 to 3,000 by the time it hits the market. Like whenever it does, whenever it's still a thing. So
yeah, the interesting part is not necessarily the hardware. I think from the hardware side of things will be, is this something that I'm willing to put on my head and wear for an extended amount of time? Is this something that I'm willing to spend $2,000 on? Do I find some usefulness out of this besides a game? Is it, the idea of a lot of the augmented reality thing would be if you were walking down the street and you look into a store and an ad pops up, and you've seen sci-fi movies where there's an overload of that kind of things. Mm-hmm. Did you see the movie Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds?
Oh, I did actually, yeah.
That sort of had an augmented reality interface. When he put on the glasses, he could then see what the video game people were seeing.
Right.
So it's kind of a reverse situation where he was a video game character, but not realizing it.
Yeah. So real quick, let me just point something out. So like let's look at your average corporation, right? The machines in these offices, you're either running Windows or Apple. Mm-hmm. So let's just say this Apple VR, Apple gets to it, they release it, they sell it for $2,000-$3,000, depending on the model you get. Maybe you have like the Apple Pro VR, right? We gotta market this product. We gotta create options, right? I think the only people, and when I say people, I mean the only body that's really going to buy into this are going to be, like your enterprise, your large companies, maybe like, research firms or engineering firms, where they can kind of like test things out, because that's honestly, that's where I see, especially AR coming into play, is things in like engineering, maybe in like medical. Maybe you have these institutions where they want to like test something, and so they want to see it in real time. But at $2,000 to $3,000, I mean, that's a high price for entry right there.
They're not going to give this to the accounting department or accounts payable.
Well, they don't want to see the stock levels go up and down. I want to see $2,000 to $3,000.
No, I did like an Excel spreadsheet, and
sure,
you're going to see cells, and you're going to go, oh, I'll pay that one right now. It's not going to be that kind of a VR, or where you're pulling out of a virtual filing cabinet and then lifting up, and you're not doing any of that stuff.
Right. There's
plenty of computers that do all that. I hate Excel, but that's okay. It's going to be like you mentioned, the engineering department, the designers, they're going to have a virtual or an augmented version of the design that they've done for whatever car they're building or whatever bridge they're making. And you tie that in with, if they're remote workers, they can then come in and collaborate as well. And you then sort of have a collaborative virtual team meeting. I want to get to the knowledge workers as well, but the biggest test case that I've seen that makes sense are, you're an airplane mechanic, the engine breaks down, or you're working on something, you pop on one of these, you then connect to another person who sees what you're seeing, or you call up a manual. There was for a different company, I was at a robotics show, and there was a company called TeamViewer there, and they were talking about their augmented reality, virtual reality glasses. And the demo that they had was they said, here is a puzzle cube made up of 4 different 3D parts or 5 different 3D parts. And we're going to train you on how to make that cube as fast as we can. Like, they could have showed me how to do it in real time in a real physical space, but I put on the glasses, and then it was like, step 1, this block goes here. Step 2, this block goes here. Step 3, go, put put the 4 and then step 4. And it was like every time I completed a step, I like either double tapped or used my voice and said next step. And by the time, after I ran this simulation about twice, I could then put this cube together in about 18 seconds.
Yeah.
So that was sort of a training. And so you could sort of use this as training, or you could use this as kind of field support, that type of thing. Totally see that. I've seen cases where Verizon, for example, uses VR and augmented reality to train employees on how to deal with someone who might come in and start like stealing from the store. Instead of training them in a real situation or watching videos. I mean, how many different times have you had to watch a training video? And
all the time.
Those are boring as hell.
Yeah, all the time.
So this is more interactive, and you're not putting someone in danger because it's now virtual.
Right.
So that, you could train someone on how to deal with a robbery, but I'd rather do it in a virtual space where I'm not in physical danger.
Yeah, or you can train someone to skydive.
Right.
So instead of actually jumping out of a plane and messing up and risking your life, you can do it in AR or VR and pretend to jump out of a plane.
Right. So there are a number of different examples where an AR VR headset makes sense. I don't know if Apple has the capabilities of entering those markets where you've already seen other companies, including Microsoft, including Epson, I believe, had some. There was a company named Vuzix out there, or Vuzix. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've seen them make some inroads as well. And then they tie that into sort of wearable computing and other types of systems. And I keep using my hands because they're like gloves as well that they make. And again, Apple needs to say, where's my market? Well, it's the Ken Minguses of the world. I hate to use just Ken as an example. But there are the Apple enthusiasts. They're all knowledge workers. They're all the, office. And how do you get someone in an office excited about that other than the engineers and the medical cases? But they're still, a medical worker or a surgeon, they're specific, very specific use case.
Yeah, and I honestly,
teaching, education, same thing. It's a specific thing. For someone in the marketing group, accounting group, journalists, people that sit in cubes a lot.
Well, honestly, I mean, of all the companies, I think they're probably the only ones that can do this. I mean, if you just look at some of their products that they sell, I'm trying to remember the name of the model. It's their high-end monitor that they sell. It doesn't come with a base. You have to buy that separately. But it's like a $3,000-$4,000 monitor really, and they're targeting the professional market, the professional artists, the video creators, the content creator, because it has a high bit depth, so you get like extremely high color accuracy. And there's also, what's the Mac that they sell? The Workstation One, again.
Yeah, Power Pro, something like that, or Mac. Yeah.
Yeah, the only people that are going to buy that are people in like editing houses or doing, high-end CGI rendering and stuff like that. And you know what's interesting too is have you seen the NVIDIA Omniverse platform? I haven't. I'm very familiar with NVIDIA in general.
Yeah,
but I haven't heard that.
So NVIDIA is their whole VR/metaverse play is this concept of the Omniverse, where they're trying to get either video creators or graphic designers, computer graphic artists to enter this world, this metaverse, and then create worlds. Basically using the NVIDIA cloud computing, all of the high-end processors and, these server farms that are running this stuff and getting people to collaborate again from multiple locations from around the world. So that if you're creating a CGI movie, like say you're at Pixar or one of those other companies that are creating the coolest new cartoon, for example, or if you're just working on CGI for an action movie, you can have different levels of artists all collaborating within these virtual spaces to create the thing faster than just trying to do one layer, sending that rendering file off to them so that then they add their layer. It's a really neat concept. If you're interested into that kind of stuff, I'd say go check that out, because there's a lot of other applications based on, and that's more metaversian. Oh my gosh, I just created a new word. Than just AR VR. So the metaverse now, digital kind of representations of physical things is another cool thing. So that leads us into the knowledge worker space. So I'm going to read you another story that came out. There was a survey by networking provider Ciena. They asked a whole bunch of business professionals about ideas like the metaverse, and 78% of them said they would participate in more immersive experiences like the metaverse as opposed to current tools such as video conferencing. So here's another angle of the metaverse that may grow in strength over the years. I think maybe people are sick of the constant Zoom meetings that they're having. And so some of the concepts within a metaverse space are creating a virtual office space online. You don't have to put a headset on. this is all now browser based or through an app. It's probably only going to work if it's browser based. You type in your name and a little digital avatar of yourself appears, and I'm sure at some point you can turn yourself into a bunny or, some walking raccoon or something like that. And you go into the virtual office and you interact with other people in your virtual cubicles or virtual lounge spaces. And then maybe you can watch a video together, or maybe you can then, if I see virtual Chris, I can then click on something and say, hey, let's have a Zoom meeting, or let's have a face-to-face. Now, and I know, and I can already see you rolling your eyes back there.
Yeah. No, I'm
But 78% is a big, does that show more frustration with the current way of collaborating, or does it show that this is something that I might be interested in down the road? And is this how we end up working and collaborating down the road?
Honestly, it's frustrating to me because if we look at this poll, for example, just to begin with, they're claiming 78%. Okay, 78% out of 15,000. I have it highlighted right here. 15,000.
That's a pretty good. It's not like they're asking 100 people.
Right. It's a big number, but I mean, how many people, live in the United States
or
in the world? I mean, it's a lot.
Well, do you want to talk about statistical approaches?
Not really.
And margins of error?
All I can say is 78% of business professionals, I don't know. I
mean, that could just be really? Are you interested in this? Yeah, well, yes. And all of a sudden, everyone that just says yes doesn't mean you're going to actually use it or deploy it or use it for the next 10 years.
Sure, but I feel like if anything, after what we call...
I'm interested in winning the lottery, Chris.
Sure. But I don't know. What I'm trying to say is especially after everything we've gone through, in the past 2-3 years, it's like you want to go further down the rabbit hole of not, getting in front of, your peers and stuff like that at work. I feel like it would be the opposite.
Right.
I feel like it'd be the knee-jerk, opposite way here. People would want to kind of see other people, not, bury themselves behind a Oculus VR, stay home. I'm picturing, what's that meme? What's that? I can't remember the episode when Carmen is sitting at his desk. He has his hand.
Oh, that's a great episode. This is South Park.
That's us right now.
Yeah.
We kind of want to go further down that path. Or
WALL-E.
Yeah, exactly. WALL-E. And I'm like, 78%. I don't know. I question the poll.
I think it's more of a reaction to frustration with constant video meetings.
Yeah.
And
100%.
and maybe people are looking for a different approach. I don't think people are going to be sitting on the couch with the glasses on and doing it that way. I think I figured that your response would be, hey, you want more collaboration? Get in the car, come to work, and then you'll get more collaboration.
Yeah, let's meet up. Let's go to the office the company's paying for, and let's meet up. And hey, maybe we can go to the bar after, get a drink, and even collaborate even further. It's kind of like get back into that, dare I say, old way of work.
Yeah, so. I don't hold out a lot of hope for these types of virtual collaborative 3D gaming type of work experiences. I think that these companies were probably born out of the pandemic.
Exactly.
And they got a lot of funding because everyone was like, ooh, this is thinking that this was going to happen for the next 10 years. Maybe if there was another situation where everybody was stuck at home again, but I don't see that happening based on the climate of how many people were frustrated the last time around.
Yeah. And I mean, these companies, look, they're there to solve a problem, right? And to sell something, granted metaverse, right? and that problem potentially may be going away. So
yeah, like any of these ideas where you're doing business in a video game world that's like a Second Life type of, hey, virtual space, let's all gather and have our avatars walk around and interact with each other. I mean, we're already seeing that's just, people have tried it. They said this is dumb. Let's not spend a lot of money on this unless you're the European Commission's Foreign Aid Office, which hosted a party in the metaverse to try and raise awareness against among younger audiences to try to tell them what to do. And so they threw this gala launch party, cost 387,000 euros to build this platform. And at the event, only 6 people showed up.
That's sad. That's just telling in and of itself. And again, let me go back to me. That's why I question that poll. 78% are interested in the metaverse. Okay, great. Well, if we were all that interested, you would show up at this party. You might have more than one user remaining out of the 5 who attended this virtual gala in the metaverse. And actually, hold on, let me go here. Let me cut back to the article. The one user, Vince Chadwick here.
Yeah, he's a journalist.
Saying, I'm here at the gala concert in the EU Foreign Aid Department, 387 metaverse. Designed to attract non-political engaged, 18 through 5 years old. See story below. After initial bemused chats with the roughly 5 other humans who showed up, I am alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad. It's that's telling.
Now, the person that
telling.
wrote this article said that they did contact the group, and they said 300 people connected during that 1 hour time frame. So maybe he just didn't see the other 294 people.
Yeah,
maybe they were in a different room. Maybe they were on the dance floor.
Granted, probably the drop off level was probably pretty quick.
Maybe they were virtually skydiving. And then apparently, but even 300. I mean, come on, that's not a lot of people for that much money. And so you're going to try to get more people to use this platform.
Yeah.
Do you remember so you remember when the pandemic happened and there were all these companies that used to run events and trade shows and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. They all decided, well, we're going to go to virtual events. We're going to still run these events, and we're going to just, make you log in, and some of them designed a virtual space that looked like the trade show. And so you could take your little avatar and walk around and click buttons, and then you could see a PowerPoint. You could then go to the live webinar. You could still walk around. As soon as people started coming back, everyone was just like, nope, I got to get out of the house. I got to go to this trade show. I want to go and spend some time at a hotel and eat some food at a restaurant and make a business deal.
Right.
Went right back. They went right back. And even our events group here, I'm thinking they're not going that virtual platform as much anymore. There's still webinars.
Yeah.
And they still do those types of things. But, the live events, they're going back and doing the same kind of thing they were doing before the pandemic.
Yeah, I think today it's more 50-50. There's the option of doing it virtual. And when we say virtual, we mean, it's a live stream, or if it's, it's a video, stuff like that. Not quite the metaverse Mark Zuckerberg wants us to.
But there is hope for the people that want to turn into the Wall-E people.
There's a lot of hope.
You want to hear this?
There's a lot of hope. Yes.
You want to hear this one? All right. The BBC reported that the first Oxford Word of the Year, which was chosen by the public. Apparently, the Oxford University Press used to have a panel of lexicographers. Oh, I can't believe I said that correctly. They would choose the word of the year based on web searches, social media, all that kind of stuff. But this year they said, all right, we've got 3 finalists. We're going to let the public vote on the word or phrase of the year. They also said it wasn't just a single word. So this year, Goblin mode was chosen as the word of the year. And have you ever used this in conversation? Because I have not.
I have not. I didn't know this phrase existed.
I may start using that. This was just a real sidetrack. I didn't know what Netflix and chill meant for a long time.
Oh, geez.
Okay, that's just proving how old I am. Anyway, the slang term for goblin mode means that you are unapologetically self-indulgent, lazy, slovenly, or greedy. Any of that behavior. It's more about I'm going into goblin mode, which means I'm going to put on my Bill Belichick hoodie. I'm going to put on my sweatpants. I'm going to sit and watch 7 hours of a TV show. And I'm not going to answer the phone, and I'm not going. I'm just going to, and then surf the web or surf the web. Oh my God, I'm so old.
You're in goblin mode right now.
What's that's my whole look is goblin mode. I do look like a little goblin. I should go live in a tree and make cookies.
Okay. Actually, here we go. Previous words of the year. Here, let me.
This was interesting. Last year was vax. Those are two different groups that choose the words too. But so look on the left. So the Oxford one was vax. There was no single word chosen in 2020 because why? I don't know. Climate emergency. What was it? Toxic was one.
Wow, selfie in 2013. Yeah, okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So the other two that people could choose from for this year, one of them was metaverse.
There you go.
And that, which I think came in second. And then the third one was hashtag I stand with, which is a little bit Twitter-ish.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody in the world? Do you know anybody that you deal with and they actually say the word hashtag as part of their conversation?
No, not that I've come across. No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I would. If anyone did, I would probably like walk right away from that conversation.
Then again, I don't have a Twitter, so I.
The fact that you used that as I don't have a Twitter. Is that a noun that you're using?
I don't have a Twitter. Yeah, actually, yeah. There we go.
So there is hope for people that really want to turn into the Wall-E. You would think that people would not want to turn into Wall-E people, but that's where we are. So, any final thoughts, Chris?
No, that's it. It's pretty bleak out there.
All right. Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone. All right, that's all the time we've got for today's episode. Thanks to everyone for watching. If you like what we're doing, hit that like and subscribe button, and we will give you content every week on technology and its impact on the world, work, life, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see you next time on Today in Tech.